Back streets of Cornell. Dodgy stuff going on. And that is the CARTENNA in all its glory. Change these cables up. I need to have a decent way of smoothing these up. We're dealing with a massive SWR. VSWR wise. Now, hi folks, and welcome to another episode of The Art of Engineering. Now, on Sunday, the long weekend, my wife came up to me, the XYL, and said, let's go down to the beach. And she seemed like she was in a good mood. And I thought, let's try my luck. So I said, hey, is it okay if I take the go bag with us? And it was packed up and ready to go from that fun play that we had in the park together, but both myself and Chris, VK2 and AP. So video to that fun excursion below. And she was fine with that. So we headed off to try and deploy from the car, Botany Bay. And I thought, hey, I've used the antenna before, there shouldn't be any issues. And of course, there was a heap of issues. So I managed to get the antenna up. And then I realized that the actual antenna tuner was damaged, and also that I just couldn't get the damn thing to load up. And various things went wrong. Plugged the actual antenna wire into the back of the QMX, my QMX here, and lo and behold, I was hearing German stations, Kiwi stations, American stations on 20 meters, and I was a very frustrated ham. So I've come home and I've decided I'm going to try and get this thing working in the backyard. And 20 meters, not a problem, loads up nicely, everything's good after I did the repairs to the antenna tuner, but couldn't get it to load on 40. I was assuming it was too short, so we tried resurrecting my loading coil from my first antenna, which was a very short 80 meter antenna, and it used this coil to get up onto 80 meters. That didn't seem to be getting us anywhere. I tried a 49-to-1 unan. I tried finding a 9-to-1 ballon as well, which I've got now, which is nice to have in the kit. And everything just didn't seem to be working, and the antenna was behaving strangely. The Smith chart was all over the place on the Nano VNA, and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? Well, after all of that mucking around, which would have made an hour-long video, I'm not going to make you suffer through it. It turned out that I'd calibrated my Nano VNA on the 6 to 8 megahertz range that I was using incorrectly. And it was just not giving me anything near what it was supposed to. So after a recalibration, I plugged in the ATU, the antenna tuner unit that I built in a previous video. So also linked to that video below. It's care of Peter Parker. And we got the thing to load up on 40 and on 20 meters as it did last time. So the CARTENNA is going to be taken out, and I'm going to give it a test again in the same position down by Botany Bay, and hopefully it will behave a lot better than it did. So we'll head off down to the bay and we'll have a look at whether we can get a QSO from the car. But before we do that, I'll show you a quick little squiz at what the Nano VNA looked like when we did our backyard test, and what the backyard test setup looked like. This is what happens when you don't have proper tripods. We did have one collapse, and as ironic as that would be, seeing how careful I am with my equipment, and it came crashing down. I thought, there we go, we've smashed another squid pole. Miraculously, the squid pole avoided all difficult and hard objects, and we still have a squid pole that's in one piece. So thank you, God.
Back to the video.
So after all that stuffing around, what it turns out was that in the range of 7 to 8 megahertz, I had stuffed up the calibration on the Nano VNA. So we now have 1:1.58 at 7020, very usable SWR on the 7 megahertz band, and I'll show you what it looks like on the 20 meter band as well, using the original setup, which was the ATU that I originally intended using. So let this be a lesson to people that you should always make sure that you check your calibration and make sure you've done it correctly. Otherwise you spend hours having fun building 9-to-1 balance that you don't need and playing around with high voltage capacitors that you don't need and all this good stuff. But hey, had fun while I was doing it. And that's our match on 14 megs. One is to 1.2. And yep, the antenna tune is working fine, so we didn't need to do any of that rubbish. Now, a little side note, the reason why I'm thinking about operating from the car is because it gets you away from a lot of the QRM that might be local, although my location's not too bad. It's not terrible, but it's not brilliant. And the other thing is it gets me close to the water. And I've been watching Peter Parker's videos for years now, and the success that he gets when he's down by the ocean, even on QRP, is just absolutely amazing. And the salt water effect is definitely helpful. So that's one reason why I want to do it. And the other reason is it just gets me out of the house and opens me up to doing some portable operation as well. So this CARTENNA is definitely not the thing you're going to take on soda. You might take it POTA, you definitely wouldn't take it soda. It's a bit cumbersome and whatnot, but it'll get me on the air portable, and that's the main thing. Hi folks, well the CARTENNA, what are you going to need to operate from the car? This is the Haverford 9-metre squid pole. They're an Australian company. Any 9-metre squid pole is probably going to get you out of trouble. 9 metres seems to be a good length. You could go higher, but this antenna is based on a 9-metre pole so that it all comes to the front seat of my car on the passenger side. So that's my 9-metre squid pole. The actual antenna wire, with the droop of the antenna and whatnot, came to about 8 meters and 10 centimeters. Now I originally cut this wire to be a random length, so it would be an end-fed random. So it may not perform as well on every single band. I'm going to find out in the field, so stick around in the video to see how I go operating from the car and whether it loads up on other frequencies. Admittedly, what I'm interested in at the moment is 20 and 40 meters, and it will do that care of the backyard testing that I did. This is a counterpoise, and it's 5 meters long, and I'll just trail that around outside and underneath the car. Obviously you need a cable BNC to BNC to get you from the rig to the tuner, which is over here. This tuner, link below to the video of me making this, is care of, it's a Peter Parker design, and it's obviously QRP, and it works marvelously well. And certainly for the 20 and 40 meter tune that I've done in the backyard, it's working fine. We have a bungee cord. Now you can use this, or Velcro straps is probably easier, but something to attach the antenna to the car, and this will all be demonstrated when I go back down and we give it a second crack. Bit of tape's always good to have. Some way to tell what's happening on the antenna, VSWR wise. Now, the rig I'm operating is the QRP Labs QMX Plus, and it has SWR protection. So with the SWR protection, it's a great thing, but it means that if the loads, if the SWR is too high, it just won't let me even squirt a little bit of power into the system. So I am going to be using my Nano VNA, and that works very well for this purpose. So some sort of way of telling your SWR is going to be necessary. Obviously, the power cord, the DC power cord for the rig. I am running my rig off a lead acid cell, and because this is a QRP Labs rig, I have put some dropping resistors in here to drop the voltage down to 12 volts, because it's sort of 13 point something off this when it's fully charged, and that can cause problems with the QRP Labs gear. And of course, this is the QMX Plus. Now I just saw some video of Hans Summers doing SSB on one of these, so he's working on the firmware to get this on SSB, and it looks like it's going very, very well. So shortly this will be SSB, but at the moment, even without the SSB, it's CW. It's also FT8 digital modes. It has provision for a GPS clock in it, which I haven't put in. So you can run this digital, you can run this CW, you can run this SSB shortly. It also does, I think it's 12 bands, 1.8 megs right through to 50 megahertz. So it's essentially a shack in the box. And what a bargain this is. So I've done a video on this and putting my unit I've modified to put some sound in it. Video link below to that as well, but check this rig out, because I think you're going to be very, very interested in it, especially if you like building kits. But you can also get it built by Hans Summers at QRP Labs, although the waiting list is apparently quite a long one because people really do want this rig. So that is the setup. Stick around to the end of the video and see how I set it up and whether it's worth doing. We are loaded up and ready to go with the go bag. I've left the tuner out this time because last time we managed to smash in that dial. So we need to find a nice little lightweight plastic box to put this in to give it a bit of protection. But we shall see how we go today. Not expecting much, not a good time of day to be going out, but it's middle of the day. But I'm going to try 20 meters and see what I can do. I've gotten everything out of the go bag and we've attached the bottom of the pole to the seat. So we're ready to deploy. Hockey strap to here and hopefully it'll behave itself. Let's go. We have another problem, and that is that this adapter's shonky as, but 1 is to 1.34. So as long as it's the actual adapter that's on this rather than the actual coax, we will find out, because we won't be able to transmit because the SWR protection will shut it off if it's the actual connector. Okay, we finally got the SWR sorted out. We're going to give it a 40 meter contact at crack. Got the engine running, new power lines. It's not ideal situation, but see what we can do. Time to pack up. We're in the back streets of Kernell. That is the rig. That is the key. That is the tuner. Counterpoise goes out the window. And that is the CARTENNA in all its glory. But as you can see, not an ideal location, or time of day for that matter. Back streets of Kernell. Dodgy stuff going on. .339 from SM0 BRF. Please excuse the shaky camera work. The camera support is on the seat. It's going to shake around. That was Ron in Stockholm on the J38 key, 3 watts into the CARTENNA. He was running a kilowatt long path, and he said there was a lot of noise, poor conditions due to the aurora in Sweden, but still managed to work me. He had I think he had a 3-element antenna system up a great height, and that's just proof that power is a great thing, but so is a fantastic antenna system. So I could hear him clearly 5x5. I gave him 559. It was probably closer to 5.7 or 5.89. Running a kilowatt. He could hear me running 3 watts in Sweden from a backstreet lot, industrial lot in Kernell, Sydney. I don't know about you, but the magic of radio never, ever ceases to amaze me. I'm amazed that I managed to work DX, and Sweden of all places, a country I don't think I've worked yet, even on FT8. I'm going to leave it there. I was going to maybe put some QRS 40 meter stuff tomorrow night's QRS slow Morsenet, but I've decided that QSO is probably a nice one to end this video on, just to show you that the CARTENNA can do its job, and it does transmit on 40 and 20. And later on, I'm going to, when those other bands open up, see if I can load up those other bands as well. And we're just going to keep trying to make this operating system that we have here presently in the car more comfortable and more doable. But I have proven to myself that I can work DX from the car, and that's pretty cool. 7-3, and I will see you in the next episode of The Art of Engineering. Bye.